5 terrorists from Pakistan-controlled Kashmir came into the Indian side. They killed 26 people. They only killed men, not the kids and the women.
एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि ये शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है उसने उसको गोली मार दी
India comes out and they publicly announce that they are going to be officially planning a strike on Pakistan. They shut off the water supply through these dams into Pakistan. Pakistan said that this action by India was an act of war. On May 7th, India launches surface-to-air missiles that hits 9 terrorist bases. They demolished a lot of infrastructure. These were the surface-to-air missiles that India borrowed from Russia. Pakistan comes out and they publicly announce that as a result, they are going to break off the similar agreement. Right now, India is importing all their weapons, arms and arms equipment, the weapon equipment that they're using against Pakistan from the Western countries, from Israel and from Russia. The arms and weapons and the missile systems that Pakistan were using that they had initially borrowed from China were malfunctioning. They were not working properly. Today, in this podcast, we are going to be talking about really what happened in the conflict between India and Pakistan. We are going to be talking about what really led to this conflict between India and Pakistan. Does this conflict really have its roots in the history of the partition of these two countries? And we are going to be talking about what is the role of Russia, China, and US in the conflict between India and Pakistan. Let's start. And if you find any value into this podcast, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. So before we really find out what really happened in the conflict, what really happened on the attack, let's touch base on what really happened in the history of Pakistan and India. So you guys already know by now that India was ruled over by the British people for about 200 years. Before everybody decided to mutually separate in the year of 1947. And the reason behind separation between Pakistan and India was really that the Muslim people living in India, they wanted a special status. And when they could not get that, when they could not reach to a resolution, they decided to separate these two countries, Pakistan and India. Back then, the Pakistan that we know today was known as West Pakistan. When the separation really happened between India and Pakistan, there were two countries actually formed: India, West Pakistan, and East Pakistan. East Pakistan, we will discuss later in this video, is today we know it as Bangladesh. So during the partition in 1947, there was a war that happened between India and Pakistan right after the separation during the 1947 and 1948 period. The reason behind that war was, again, Kashmir. Now, when the partition really happened, Kashmir was neither really Pakistan's side nor was it on India's side. Kashmir was its own individual state, and there were a lot of Muslims. So the Kashmir back then had a majority Muslim population, and these Muslim majority population, they reached out to West Pakistan and they wanted to take refuge into West Pakistan, and they wanted West Pakistan to take over Kashmir. And when the Indian Maharaja who ruled over this state back then, 1947, he saw that uprising and these people are going to try to invade the state. He reached out to the country of India and he asked for some help. He said, hey, can you guys help me? These guys are going to invade Kashmir. So India agreed to help, and in return, they wanted to take over the area. They wanted to take over Kashmir. And so did Pakistan. In return of helping these people in Kashmir, they wanted to take over Kashmir. Then the war started in 1947, 1948. What happens? The United Nations, the UN, steps in and they broker a deal. They broker a ceasefire between the two countries again in 1947, 1948 era. And they create something which we today known as LOC, a line of control. And what that line of control essentially did, it gave Pakistan their area of Kashmir, which today is called Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, and it gave India their control of Kashmir. In the 1960s, there was another conflict between India and Pakistan, and this time the conflict was over 6 rivers. Who was going to get the control of the flow of the 6 rivers? Now, Remember this. The flow of the water between the two countries is extremely important because all the river banks that are going to be along this river are going to be extremely fertile. And when you have some land which is extremely fertile, that is where you want to base your irrigation system, your agriculture, and your farming, just because of the fertility of the soil. They go over this war. What happens in 1960s? The World Bank steps in. This time the World Bank steps in and they broker a deal between India and Pakistan. And when they broker the ceasefire, they create something called Indus Water Treaty. So what exactly is Indus Water Treaty? Like we talked about, there were these six rivers. Indus Water Treaty, what it essentially did, it divided the rivers, three rivers that would be controlled by India and three rivers that would be controlled by Pakistan. Now, after the treaty was signed, after everything was settled, India found out that the three rivers that they got control over was essentially 20% of all the water combined in the six rivers, while Pakistan got control over 80% of all the water in the six rivers. Now, the rivers that Pakistan got control over, the three rivers, were Indus, Jhelum River, and Chenab River, while the three rivers that India got control over were Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej. What India did to control the water that was flowing through the rivers, they built some dams. Now India came out and they built two dams. One of the dams that they built was on the side of the river that was really controlled by Pakistan. And during this Pahalgam attack, during this most recent attack that happened, we will talk about this further in the video. What really happened right after the attack, India came out and they announced that they would be shutting the water supply through this dam that was going into Pakistan, which was whole another issue. So this leads to our next talking point, the third conflict. So the first conflict we know that happened in 1947-1948 between India and Pakistan over Kashmir. That was brokered by United Nations. Then again, there was another issue back in 1960s over the six rivers, which was again brokered by the World Bank. Now, in 1971, that's right, there was a third conflict. The other two conflicts were over the single thing, Kashmir and the six rivers. And now there is a third conflict, which again is somewhat related to the same state, Kashmir. This third conflict happened in 1971. So still not talking about the most recent attack. This one happened in 1971. And during the conflict between India and Pakistan in 1971, this is when East Pakistan became Bangladesh. All the people who were living in East Pakistan before the formation of the country of Bangladesh, they spoke the language Bengali. That's what the essentially people speak right now in Bangladesh, but that's what their language was. And Pakistanis didn't really like that. They wanted them to speak the same language as what West Pakistan did. So over this language issue and over the issue of the land, the army in Pakistan, they tried to harass and assault the people living in East Pakistan in 1971. What happens? These people in East Pakistan, they tried to take refuge again in India. And then Prime Minister in India in the 1970s, they decided that rather than holding renegotiation terms between India and Pakistan, they would directly go to war with Pakistan. And that's exactly what they did. They went over a war. With the help of Russia. India went over war with Pakistan with the help of Russia. What happens? India wins the war. East Pakistan becomes a new country, which is today known as Bangladesh. And Pakistan comes out and they sign an agreement called the Simla Agreement. And in the Simla Agreement, Pakistan basically signs a treaty with India that there would be peace. There will be no more wars. Until in 1999, again, they had a huge conflict called the Kargil War. Again, in the same Kashmir controlled area. And then you have some minor attacks and wars in between, and then you have a major attack again in April 2025. Now, this attack in April 2025 is essentially in a city in Indian controlled Kashmir, which is known as Pahalgam. So the story behind this attack that happened in April 2025, April 22nd, 2025, is that five terrorists from Pakistan-controlled Kashmir came into the Indian side. Now you have to remember, there are no walls like US have with Mexico. This is just the open land that says this is Pakistan-controlled Kashmir and this is Indian-controlled Kashmir. So they come over this side, and it is being reported that they killed 26 people during this attack. They killed 26 people, out of which 25 were Indian tourists, Indian citizens who were tourists in that area, and one citizen from the country of Nepal. 26 people in total, 25 Indian citizens, and one citizen of Nepal. Now, it is also being reported that during this incident, the terrorists, they only killed men, not the kids and the women. So some amount of decency there. But let's watch this one video which is really going viral right now on YouTube. Watch this video.
एक इंसान आया, उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि ये शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
नहीं 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 आप टेंशन मत लो। अब बेटा आप यहाँ पे रहो, हम साथ में लो।
मेरे बेटे का बच्चा लो।
हम बचा देगा, कोई बात नहीं। भाई तो करेंगे फोन।
प्लीज भगवान के लिए बचा लो।
दब सिमन युवा डिजाइन किया है। ठीक है हम बचा देंगे ना, आप टेंशन मत लो।
Now, during this video, you guys learned that how this person was zip tying down on the ground, and there was attack that was going on while this guy was having fun. The attack was going on the ground. People were running around, they were screaming, they were shouting, and you can actually hear, if you listen closely, you can actually hear the gunshots in the background. Extremely sad what happened in this area. Really saddens you what really happened in Pahalgam in April 2025. First, you have the war between Russia and Ukraine, then between Israel and Palestine, and now you have to see this, what's really going on in this one area between India and Pakistan. This happens in April 2025, and on 3rd or 4th of May, India comes out and they publicly announce that they are going to be officially planning a strike on Pakistan, and that they are going to be shutting off the water supply. So just like we talked about before about the Sixth River issue, India, they built a dam over a river that was controlled by Pakistan. And what India really did in the first week of May, they shut off the water supply through these dams into Pakistan. Since there was no river, there was no water flowing into the Pakistan area now, the farmers, all the agriculture industry, all the farming industry along those river banks, now they were coming out who were trying to get their irrigation system moving, that they are not going to be harvest a whole bunch of crops this time. And this time you have to remember, this is the summer season going on right now. So that means they were going to be able to harvest a whole bunch of crops this time, which they will not be able to harvest just because of this issue that India shut off those dams. And Pakistan said that this action by India was an act of war. And right after this shutting off the water supply from India, India starts missile attacks, surface. They launch missiles into Pakistan-controlled Kashmir and Pakistan. On May 7th, India launches surface-to-air missiles that hits 9 terrorist bases, at least what they're claiming. This is what they're claiming. Now, there are some reports that these missiles actually really impacted a lot of infrastructure as well. They demolished a lot of infrastructure. They hit the infrastructure such as hospitals and other government essential buildings in Pakistan as well. But India is saying that they wanted to target only the terrorist bases in Pakistan-controlled Kashmir and Pakistan. And actually, these air surface-to-air missiles that India launched, these were the surface-to-air missiles that India borrowed from Russia, the S-300 missile systems. These lock in on the target, you target them, and through the software you control, and this is what India launched into Pakistan. Pakistan comes out and they publicly announce that as a result, they are going to break off the Simla agreement that again we talked about before in 1971, what Pakistan really signed between India and Pakistan when East Pakistan became Bangladesh. They broke off that peace treaty, which meant that now they will be closing the airspace and all the trade which was going on between India and Pakistan. There is one more thing that you guys have to know before we really move on. This was regarding in 2019 what the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi really did. This has a deep significance of what happened in this Kashmir area. So, prior to this war, there was a clause in the Indian Constitution that gave Kashmir really power that all the people who would be living in that area in Kashmir will have a different status than what the people in Pakistan or what the people in India would have. What that means is there was a clause in Indian Constitution called Article 370 that was put in the Indian Constitution by the India's first Prime Minister back in 1947. So what happened in 2019? So what really happened in this clause is it gives the people who are residing in Kashmir a special status, their own citizens, their own citizenship system. The complete system is different from what you have in Pakistan versus what you have in India. They have complete different passports. The passports are issued to the people who live in Kashmir are completely different to the passports of Indian citizens or the passports of Pakistani citizens. So in 2019, plus one more thing, only the people who are living in Kashmir were allowed to invest in the real estate in Kashmir. So if there was a person living in India, northern India, southern India, middle India, or anybody who is living in Pakistan, they will not be able to invest in Pakistan. Only the people living in Kashmir who are Kashmiri passport holders, they have their own citizenship through the own citizenship system in Kashmir. Only they will be able to buy and sell real estate, invest in their real estate. So in 2019, what happens is the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, he comes out and he says that he is going to revoke this clause from the Indian Constitution with the help of Supreme Court, and that's exactly what he does. And what that really means, the revocation of Article 370, is that now all the other people in India, let's say if you're living in Mumbai or if you're living in Delhi or if you're living somewhere in southern India, anywhere in India, now you can go in Kashmir, you can reside there. There is no more special citizenship status or system that Kashmir will get. They will have to follow the Indian Constitution. The citizenship system in India will have to be followed as well in Kashmir. And the same laws for buying and selling and investing real estate will also follow in Kashmir. So what happens is, wherever in whichever area you are living in India, now you can go over to Kashmir as well, and you will have the same citizenship, you will have the same rights, and you can invest and you can buy and you can sell real estate there as well. This revocation of Article 370 from Indian Constitution by the Indian Prime Minister was a significant issue that really sparked into formation of a terrorist group which is both officially and unofficially is known as the Resistance Front. And this is the terrorist group which have claimed in the past the responsibility of the Mumbai 2008 attacks. And this is what the Indian government is claiming, that they are again responsible for the April 2025 attack as well. That because of this revocation of this Article 370 from the Indian Constitution, where anybody from India can come and invest, and they would have to follow the same citizenship and constitution system as Indians, that is what led to these terrorists cross over and kill the Indian citizens. Check this out. I found some images for you guys to see what really happened at the time of the Pahalgam attack. Look at some of these images. So you can see this is an image of the wall on the rooftop, and you can see all the walls. They are filled with holes from, I guess, shooting that was going on in that area. Then again, the huge rubble, the stockpile of rubble, where this man is standing, the house which is demolished. This guy is standing by the window of a property which seems completely demolished by one of the missiles. And these images, by the way, these images are directly from the attack that happened in the city of Pahalgam in April 2025. This is extremely sad, what really happened. I mean, I don't know how the people in Kashmir right now are feeling about this incident. This conflict really touched a lot of hearts both in Pakistan and in India. Let's watch some videos of some people from the Pahalgam attack. So, like we talked about before, the terrorists only killed the people who were men. They did not kill any kids and they did not kill any women. And while they were attacking, we will see some videos. I have some videos for you guys here. I will show you some videos of some accounts of the people directly who were involved into this incident. Their partners, they're claiming in the video that their partners were killed right when they were standing by them, point blank range. So one of the things when these terrorists were killing these Indian citizens, they were asking them, "Are you a Hindu? Are you a Muslim?" And if the victim said that they were Hindu, point blank range, they killed them. They were asking them if they knew the Islamic recitals, and if they did not, they were killing them. They were asking them to pull their pants down, the men, and they were seeing if they were circumcised or if they were not circumcised. If they were not circumcised, again they were killing them point blank range. So let's see some video. Let me play this video for you guys here.
अरे नहीं 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 हम लोग फौज हैं हम लोग बैठो बैठो हम लोग फौज हैं बैठो बैठो मेरे बच्चे को अरे हम लोग फौजी हैं कुछ नहीं करेंगे आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं बैठो 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 आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं हम इंडियन आर्मी हैं बैठो ये इंडियन आर्मी आप लोग कहाँ से आए हो कहाँ से आए आप लोग आए आपके बच्चे कुछ नहीं करेंगे थोड़ा बताइए हुआ पति को आए हैं बैठो 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 आपकी सेफ्टी के लिए आए हैं हम इंडियन आर्मी हैं बैठो ये इंडियन आर्मी आप लोग कहाँ से आए हो कहाँ से आए आप लोग आए आपके बच्चे कुछ नहीं करेंगे थोड़ा बताइए हुआ पति को मार दिया नहीं बेटा शांत रहो
एक इंसान है उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे
उसने बोला कि ये शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है उसने उसको गोली मार दी
नहीं 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 आप टेंशन मत लो अब बेटा आप यहाँ पे रहो हम साथ में लो
मेरे पति का बच्चा लो
हम बचा देगा कोई बात नहीं भैया तो करेंगे फोन
प्लीज भगवान के लिए बच्चा लो
दब सिमन युवा डिजाइन क्या है ठीक है हम बचा देंगे ना आप टेंशन मत लो
Indeed, some really disturbing content. So if you look in this video, you can see how this woman is really crying about, and she's actually telling the cameraman, that her husband was killed on a point blank range, and they were asking their husband if he was a Hindu or Muslim, and there was a second woman who was crying to the cameraman again if there's somebody who can help save her husband. And I have a second video for you guys to watch as well. Check this out.
हम घोड़े पे पहुँचे 2-2:30 बजे बस फिर हम थोड़ा घूमे फिर हमको मज़ा नहीं आ रहा था हम नीचे आ ही रहे थे हम एग्ज़िट पे ही खड़े थे कि लोग ऐसे भागने लगे पीछे से हमको लगा कि पता नहीं क्या हुआ है तो उन्होंने बोले जल्दी भागो अटैक हो गया है तो जैसे ही हम पीछे ऐसे देखे 1 मिनट तो फायर की आवाज़ें आ रही थी बस फिर जो एक दूसरे को धक्के दे के निकल रहे थे लोग फिर हम भी धीरे धीरे आ गए कोई कहाँ पे जा रहा था कोई कहाँ पे बाकी हमारे पीछे बहुत सारे लोग बैठे थे अभी भी किन्हीं के बच्चे थे किसके छोटे बहुत बच्चे थे अगर 2 मिनट हम नहीं पहुंचते थे तो आज हम यहाँ पे नहीं बैठ पाते थे
So again, in this video as well, again, very disturbing video, not any disturbing content though, but she's telling you the account what really happened during the attack. She's saying that she was riding a horseback during this incident, and then she heard along with her husband that there were shots being fired. There was an attack that was going on, and somebody shot their guns off, and they started getting people, and that's when they really panicked. And this woman was able to escape with her husband and leave the scene before they were actually involved into any kind of casualty. But again, these are some things that really need to be stopped in the world. But let's move on and we talk about what were the arms, what were the weapons. Why is Pakistan really in the news about all these things going on, that Pakistan was not able to save their jets? Let's move on and find out what's really happening with the involvement of US, China, and Russia into this conflict. US, we heard about that Donald Trump came out and he publicly announced that he was able to broker a ceasefire between the two countries in India and Pakistan. And there are some India media outlets that are claiming the opposite, that the US did not help them reach to a ceasefire. Now, everybody wants a ceasefire to be there between India and Pakistan, and this is going to impact the global trade on a very huge basis. How is that? Um, Now, both India and Pakistan, they are heavily nuclear missile equipped. Both the countries have approximately 170 nuclear missiles. I believe India has about 172 nuclear missiles, while Pakistan have about 170. And when you have nuclear missile, that is never a good thing to have. If you have a nuclear missile, you can really impact the global trade and the global area and vast amount of citizens at a single time. Now, if these two countries go on a nuclear war, that is going to impact not just the two countries but all the neighboring countries as well. And as a result, it is very important for the US right now to step in and stop that, because currently, if you see in terms of trade, it is only India. After China, you have to see, after China, it's only India who is the most populous area. And India right now is really backing US as well in terms of trade. When you know that Apple is coming out and they are trying to ship, they're trying to get all their phones manufactured now in India, other than from they're trying to ship their manufacturing of iPhones from China into India now. So and this is extremely critical. And what US wants to do, they want to step in at the exact same time, and they want to tell India, hey, we are at your side and stop this war. Do not go on war with Pakistan. This is not going to result into anything. While India is claiming that this is something that they have to deal on their own with Pakistan. Now, when US is trying to publicly announce that there is a ceasefire, what they really want to do is stop these two countries from going into war, just so that they can stop the issues, the potential impact that are going to be on the global trade. There are not just the iPhones that are being shipped from India into US. There's a lot of other goods. And with the latest news that India is going to be dropping, if not all, most amount of their tariffs against the US, the businesses in US, and Donald Trump is very well aware of the businesses in US, they have a prospect that, okay, after China, maybe we can move, after China or Vietnam, maybe we can move our production into India, sorry. However, US is, again, they as a country, they are making most of their revenue by exporting weapons and arms into other countries as well, and India is one of their buyers. But India is not their biggest buyer. The biggest the biggest exporter of arms and weapons and weapon equipment to India right now is Russia. Right now, India is importing all their weapons, arms, and arms equipment, the weapon equipment that they're using against Pakistan, from the Western countries, from Israel, and from Russia. Even the surface-to-air missiles that India used against Pakistan in this attack were S-300 system from Russia. However, Pakistan on the other hand, they are borrowing all their weapons and arms from China. And this is something fun fact. This is a fun fact about China. So when it was announced that China is going to be supplying the weapons and arms to Pakistan as a resistance to Indian attack, the stock prices of a lot of defense companies in China went up. And what happened right after the attack, all the same stock prices went down. I believe collectively they went down in China by 9%. And the reason why is because the arms and weapons and the missile systems that Pakistan were using, that they had initially borrowed from China, were malfunctioning. They were not working properly. So this is a statement from Pakistan side saying that their media reported that Pakistan, they fired PL-15 air-to-air missiles that they had borrowed from China, which is essentially a radar-guided missile that you would lock onto your target and they will follow that target. They will hit that target by the Pakistan Air Force. But all these missiles that they were being fired, they were missing their targets. and they were malfunctioning mid-flight. And this gives Chinese defense companies a really bad look. Again, we have here that Pakistan uses HQ-9 defense system, so similar system that India was using from Russia, the S-300 system. Pakistan were using their counterpart, which was called an HQ-9 surface-to-air missiles that they had borrowed from China. And again, the media outlets in Pakistan were reporting on this, that during the attacks when they were trying to defend against the surface to air missiles from India, uh, the HQ-9 air defense system from China did not stop. It was not able to stop even one missile that was launched from the Indian side, and they were not able to intercept any incoming threats during the Operation Sindoor. So Operation Sindoor, by the way, is the operation in the first week of May that India launched missiles onto 9 terrorist bases in Pakistan, and this Chinese-made surface-to-air missile system, or the air-to-air missile system, did not work against those. And this is a primary reason why Chinese have currently stopped supplying their defense systems into Pakistan, just because their own defense companies are losing a lot of stock price, a lot of share price, because of the malfunctioning. If you see, essentially, if you right now go on Google, if you go on Google ChatGPT, you will actually find that of all the Chinese export on a global stage, for the weapons and arms, 65% of all the weapons and arms that Chinese are trying to export are being bought by just one single country, which is Pakistan. And after this news, even Myanmar, the country of Myanmar, came out and they said that they are going to be grounding all the fighter jets that they borrowed from China because of their malfunctioning issue. Even South Africa, the arms, the weapons that they bought from China, they are also trying to test them heavily following this incident, seeing how much malfunctioning are they able to find. But this is something that is becoming a really big issue between these two countries over the controlled state of Kashmir. Who is going to gain the vast amount of control? What is really going to happen after this incident, after this conflict? I believe there were talks of India and Pakistan to meet each other sometime next week. So this podcast is being recorded as of May 17th, and I believe it was being reported that they are going to have talks and negotiation terms, and they are going to talk about this conflict sometime on May 19th or May 20th, and they will discuss how to resolve this conflict between these two countries. Will they be able to reach to a conflict? Will they be able to negotiate the terms of the Kashmir? Will they be able to negotiate a ceasefire? This is something we will find out very soon, presumably next week. But it is going to be really interesting on how these things move from this point really on. But again, these were some fun facts that we found out today. And if you feel you found some value in this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks.